Welcome to the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. We're going to explore ways to sharpen our diagnostic skills, find learning resources, and hear from experts in the automotive field. Okay, welcome to the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about a very important topic, training in the automotive field as an automotive technician. This is obviously very important if you want to work on modern vehicles, if you want to be efficient in handling new systems, new cars, all the crazy technology that's coming at you while you're out in the field. You've got to get some sort of training in a classroom setting, or we're going to talk about some other methods of training that you can get, maybe video on demand, maybe in your earbuds, but you need some sort of training. You need some sort of information prior to being under the hood or working on the car, not just learning it on the fly. And not that you can't, and that's part of this job, is we've got to figure things out as we go. We see new systems all the time. We can't prepare for everything, but in order to be at least somewhat ready for what's coming at you out there, you need to get some form of training. It's very important. We don't see enough, at least I don't see enough people actually going to get training in this field that are actually seeking out and going to training. And the question, I ask myself, a lot of people ask, a lot of maybe shop owners ask this question: why don't more techs, why don't more people in this field seek out training and take the time to go to training? Well, a couple of reasons right off the bat. Time and money. That's the big things that hold people back from a lot of stuff in life, but specifically training in the automotive field. Now, number one, the time. Here's the deal. If you're an automotive technician, which, assuming if you're listening to this podcast, you very well might be one, you spend a lot of time working, just like anybody else, but your training for whatever particular application is kind of expected for you to do in your free time. That means your nights, your weekends, and most of these training classes, if you do an in-person one, it's 4 hours, or if you go to a big event, it's 3-4 days, or at least a weekend of your time, and that's cutting into your personal time, your family life, whatever else you want to do when you're not at work. I mean, who wants to work more when they get home from work? And some people do, but that's probably not the majority. Maybe if you're listening to this podcast, you're really into bettering yourself. Maybe that is you, but I don't think it represents the large majority of technicians out there. So time's a big factor. It's tough to get training. Maybe I should say this. It's tough to get paid training so that you're getting paid hourly, the time that you would be getting paid at work to go sitting in a training event. You're expected to do this on your free time most of the time. So that's something that holds people back. The other part of it is, of course, money. This is expensive. Now, some shops do pay for their technicians to go get training. If you work at a dealership, a lot of that is actually built in. But to go to something like Vision, the whole weekend, or even some of the one-day instructor-led courses, or maybe some online on-demand modules, a lot of that's got to come out of your own pocket, especially if you work in an independent shop. I worked at a Firestone for many years, and we had a few training events, but if you wanted anything extra, you wanted to go to one of these larger events or anything like that, you've got to come up with the funds for it. So it's not cheap. Now, we're going to talk a lot about different ways that you can get training, and I don't have all the answers to this. I don't have how you can make this work efficiently. You've got to dedicate some time to it. There's no way around that. And I don't have the answers as far as getting your shop to pay for your training. That's also going to be difficult. But we are going to talk about some ways that you can maybe save some money on training. You can make it more cost efficient. So, what the purpose of this episode is to give you a number of resources and different ways to access some training for the automotive field, ways that you can learn about new systems, new components, network with people that are like-minded. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. And that's really what I want to present to you here. So I'm going to break this down into categories. The categories are going to be large events. So this would be an event where you're most likely, unless you're lucky enough to live in the area, you're most likely flying out somewhere on the East Coast, West Coast, maybe Kansas City, and a large group of automotive technicians and shop owners and trainers are going to be meeting at probably some sort of hotel or conference center, and there are a number of training events going on in this one area. You've got a lot of instructors and a lot of classes, and generally this takes place over a 3 or 4 day period, maybe a weekend. I'll define those and we'll show you what some of the most popular ones are and the benefits to something like that. Then we're going to cover a 1-day instructor-led training. So this would be, like I mentioned, something that you go to after work. It's a 4-hour course. It's not necessarily one-on-one, but a more intimate setting with the instructor where you can really ask questions. Maybe there's 20 or 30 guys. It really depends on the class. You usually are going to be, well, maybe I shouldn't even say that. Sometimes you get fed, sometimes you don't. It really does depend on the class. But we'll cover the 1-day instructor-led training. Training on demand is going to be the next category. So this is going to be videos or subscriptions that you can get online. You can watch these videos whenever you want in any amount of time that you want. So whenever you have free time. And then we're going to talk about some more self-directed learning. And what I mean by that is it's not necessarily packaged for you like a training course, but it's information. And if you're willing to go out there and get it, there are some other places that you can find this knowledge, but it's not a traditional classroom-led training that we're used to seeing. So let's jump into it. Again, I'm going to start with the big events. There's the ASA Super Saturday, which from what I have read is now a super weekend, or it's going to be a super weekend. That's in October in Pennsylvania. Oh, and by the way, I should mention, I'm going to include links to all of these events, all of these websites that I mention. So if you don't catch them all while I'm talking, don't worry about writing everything down. You can go to the show notes. You'll find links to everything. So at the end of this, if there was something in particular that you wanted to go check out, you don't have to stop and go look at it now. Just check out the list once we're done. All right, the next one, Tst Big Event, which is in March in New York. The Super Saturday and TST, I have not personally attended, so I don't have a whole lot of personal experience there to share with you, but from everything I've read, everyone I've talked to, both are really great events, very good instructors, and excellent networking opportunities, which, again, these big events where you have a large amount of technicians, of shop owners, of trainers coming together, for a weekend, you really do get the chance to network and meet like-minded individuals, people that are doing the same thing that you're doing. Maybe they've got a different perspective on something. Maybe they specialize in an area, and you can, connect with them later on when you're having trouble with a certain vehicle that you're not used to. It's a really good opportunity to expand your network, is really that. And I'm going to get to the last one here is that I'm going to talk about is vision. This is probably one of the biggest ones, or at least one of the more popular ones around. This is in Kansas City. It is usually the first weekend in March, last weekend in February, right around there. It's a huge event. It goes Thursday through Sunday. You're in classes 8 hours a day, except for Sunday, you're in class for 4. Top shelf instructors. You've got people there like Bernie Thompson and John Thornton and Seth Thorson, and I could go on and on. Really, really awesome classes. I have had the privilege of going there twice. You know, you kind of have your mind blown by the end of it, the end of that weekend. There's so much information that you're trying to take in, and, you know, meeting so many new people. It's really, really cool. If you have the opportunity to go to Vision, I strongly recommend it. Now, it's a lot of money. I'll be upfront with that, because you've got to pay for the plane ticket out there if you don't live near Kansas City. You got to pay for the hotel stay, maybe a car rental, all the food out there, the classes themselves, and you're taking time off work, which again is maybe a downside to some of these, you know, big training events. Even though it's over a weekend, some of us work over the weekends, and maybe you're shutting your shop down if you are the shop owner, if you're a mobile guy, or at least you're losing the wages for that time. So it can really be an expensive event, and again, why we don't see enough people going to training events. Now, if you can get your shop to pay for this, that's fantastic. Take advantage of that for sure. But don't miss out on that if you have the opportunity. I will say the networking at Vision, probably one of the best. I'm a little bit of an introvert myself. I don't easily just go up to people and start talking to them if I don't know them. So I probably could have done a better job of making more friends, expanding my own network each time I was there. But still, even with the little bit that I did, met some really cool people, and we're all there for the same reason, to get better. So Vision, definitely at the top of my list for large events. All right, let's move on to the next topic. These would be one-day instructor-led trainings. One of the more popular ones, ATG Training, Automotive Training Group. They have classes nationwide, excellent instructors, and one of the strong points of ATG classes, I feel, is the books that you get along with the classes. Now, a lot of classes you do get some sort of training book, some sort of guide that's going to walk you through, include some notes, and give you an option to leave your own notes. But these books are extremely detailed. They cover everything that's happening in the class and much more as well. I mean, the content of the book would be tough to go through in the 4-hour or even an 8-hour class, because they do present at events like Vision. That way, if it's 6 months later down the road and you're thinking about, wow, I was in that class and there was a case study about this car or something similar to what I'm working on, but I don't remember all the details, because let's be honest, you can't retain everything that gets jammed into your head at a training event. Well, you have this book with you after the fact that you can make your own notes, but again, it's all in there. You can refer back to it, and you can look at all the details of what was covered, what was said, how it was done, testing methods, scope captures, data PIDs, all that stuff is in there. So you don't have to memorize all of it. And that's a very strong point of those classes. So ATG training, very good. We have a CTI World Pack that also does one-day instructor-led training. They've got some really good instructors here. Keith Perkins, Brandon Steckler, just to name a couple that do classes for CTI. That's CarQuest Technical Institute. Check those out for sure. Napa does training, and so if you have some Napa stores around, ask and see where they hold training. They actually hold it at our college. They use the big meeting room at the college and have all the shops come in there. They feed everybody, hold a class, and what they'll do is they give you a class pass card. So this class pass card, you scan it once you go to the class. You get credit for going to the class in case you want to print off a certificate or whatever it is, but you also can access some online training materials as well. So an extra benefit there. One instructor-led training that I'll never miss, that I'm always going to go to, is held by Automotive Seminars. So if you are in the Midwest or somewhere close to there, check this out. Again, I'll have a link. This is run by John Thornton and Eric Ziegler. John does most of the courses in my area. I'm up in Minnesota. But these are excellent. I mean, if you have any chance to go sit in on a John Thornton class, go do it. 100%. The guy is just awesome at his craft, not just on the automotive side of things, but in the classroom. He's fantastic. Every time I go to one of his courses, I take something back that I'm using within a week or a couple of weeks of that class. And it's always new, relevant information presented in a very engaging way, because most of his stuff is case study based. Not everybody likes case study based, but the way he presents his courses, they're always great, because he's teaching you a system as he's telling you the story of how he diagnosed a particular vehicle. So check out Automotive Seminars, and John does classes for other companies as well. So again, if you get a chance to go see John Thornton, go do it. But they do tour the Midwest and a number of different places. So check that out. If you specialize in a certain brand, or maybe you want to specialize in a certain brand, or you're just looking for information for something specific, there are instructors out there that will train specifically for one thing. I mean, even ATG will have classes just for a Duramax diesel or something like that. But there's companies that cater just to one brand. One of those being, and I know Seth, so this is why I'm bringing this up, is Seth Thorson and LMV Bavarian. This is all BMW stuff, and he's the guy for BMW. If you are getting into BMW or you specialize, there's nobody better. And so all of his courses are going to be centered around BMW specialty stuff, and you can't beat it. So he also tours the country. He has classes all over. So check out that website if you're looking on how to get some training. And I do believe they actually have some on-demand training on their website as well. Okay, on to the next topic. We're going to talk about training on demand. This is actually one of my favorite. And not that I don't like in-person training. In-person training is awesome. But I like on-demand training. What I mean by that a video, a recording of an instructor holding a class that's going to be online, in which you can either download or stream whenever you want. After you've either purchased the video or paid for a subscription, you can access that video whenever it works best for you, whenever the timing is right for you. And that's the key there, because again, we're busy people, and when can we fit it? Can we fit a 4-hour class in this week? Maybe not. Maybe our crazy life, work, and whatever else is outside of life prevents us from being able to do that. It happens. We all know that can happen. But so you can't fit in a 4-hour class, but can you squeeze in a half hour here or there somewhere in your week? Most likely you can. Most likely you've got a little bit of downtime. And on top of that, if you can do it without actually going anywhere, if you could just watch it on your phone or your computer, that's even better. And that's what this training is about. The other part of it is you're getting a course or a section of information, and it's tough to remember everything when you're sitting in class. It's tough to retain all that, bring it home with you, and keep everything locked up in your brain. Now, again, you can make some notes, and you have some training books, but what I like about on-demand videos is that you can watch these videos over and over again, as many times as it takes for you to get that knowledge locked into your brain. That really helps me just keep some of this stuff up in my head to really know it when that car comes in. Okay, maybe. And again, I'm a little bit of a nerd on this stuff, so not everybody be willing to watch a video 3 times, but heck, I'll watch a video 3 times if I'm really into it, or maybe I feel like I didn't really get all of what he was talking about there. I'll watch it 3 times. You don't necessarily have that option if you're going to a class. If you missed out on something and you didn't ask anybody about what you were questioning, you're not going to get it. But this, you can watch this over and over again. Now, the downside is you're not getting that in-person one-on-one. So if you do have a question, that's not going to be doable through a video. So there's pros and cons to it. One other thing is, maybe if you've seen the video, you can do this on YouTube and other formats. You can actually speed up the video to 1.5 times. So you can really make use of your time efficiently. Put in those earbuds, watch that video, blast through it a little bit faster than you did the time before. Just different ways you can take in this knowledge. I'll give you some of the more popular options for this. So I mentioned Automotive Seminars, John Thornton. Well, he's got 2 or 3 videos up on that website as well. You can purchase per video. And, they're a little spendy, it's $140, but totally worth it. I purchased both of the ones he has up there for fuel trims and for in-cylinder pressure diagnostics. Great, great, great stuff. So I highly recommend that. Scanner Danner, Paul Danner, he has his premium website. He's got some stuff on YouTube as well that's free. We'll talk about that in a moment, but it's $11 a month for his premium site. You get to see his case studies, and you get to see him instructing his class at Rosedale Tech. So it's like you were a student sitting in there. Again, the only downside is you can't raise your hand to ask a question, but he does have a forum. You can post on the comments to the video, and he'll go in there and answer your question. So it's almost the same, and for $11 a month, totally worth it. He's got over 400 videos in there. So Scanner Danner Premium, L1 Diagnostics, Keith Perkins. Now this is a little bit of a hybrid, because if you pay for the membership, you can actually watch these videos live on Mondays. He does them mostly on Mondays. And you can participate like you were in a class. You're in a group chat while the video's happening, and you can type out a question, and he will answer it as it goes. Now, if you missed the class, you're not there live, you can watch the recording on-demand video. But that gives you kind of a hybrid option there. So that's L1 Diagnostics. The last one I'm going to talk about here is not necessarily videos like the other ones I've mentioned, but it is on-demand training. It's lectu.com. We actually use this at the college. All the students have an account to this. These are online training modules, and they use some animations, some visual representations of components, but really each module walks you through an area of the vehicle, like one's on CAN bus, and one's on oxygen sensors, and one's on fuel trims. And you read some information, they show you some content, and then you go through and you answer some questions that they ask. And it'll either tell you, nope, you're wrong, you got to try again. Some of them are a little bit more active, like you have a voltmeter and you've got to click your mouse and put the lead here and then put the other lead there and then get the measurement and put it into the answer, and it's interactive. So that is another option for on-demand training, a little bit different than a video, but lectu.com. Okay, next, this is going to be, again, the more self-directed type of learning, something that's not pre-packaged for you. You kind of have to go out there and get it. We'll talk about the free stuff first. The free ones that you can get are pretty much on YouTube. That's where you're going to find most of this stuff. Now, Scanner Danner does have a lot of free videos on YouTube, as I'm sure most people know. Lots of case studies, some of his classroom stuff there as well. Diagnose Dan has a lot of, if you're more into the Euro side of things, he's got a lot of European vehicles, but hey, the stuff he talks about applies to most vehicles. Electricity is electricity. Fuel trims are fuel trims. New Level Auto with Keith DeFazio. He's got real short, to-the-point videos, but they're very good, really good content there. Trained by Techs on YouTube has a lot of good information. They also have some discussions with experts in the field. Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics, Ivan. He's got some a little bit lengthier case studies, but they're real. You really get to see the struggle that we go through every day. And, that's refreshing to see. It's not just, hey, I'm the hero, I figured this out. He works through the problems. You really get to see the thought process as you work through stuff. South Main Auto has a ton of videos. Some of those are more on the diagnostic side, some of them more on the repair side. You get a little bit of everything there. TST mentioned they have the big event in March. They also put up some of their videos up there. So there's full Jim Morton classes up on TST on YouTube. So I mean, you're getting a 3-hour class for free. Great stuff there. So check that out. The other free option for training out there, again, this is self-directed, you got to go find it, is social media groups. And Facebook's kind of the big one, and there are a number of groups on Facebook. I'm not even going to go through all the different names. Get out there on Facebook, start looking. Some are better than others, and that's kind of why I don't want to get into naming the names of the groups, but it depends on what you're after. And you've got to sift through some stuff. It's like Google search. There's the entirety of human knowledge out there on Google in one way or another, but boy, do you got to sift through some garbage in order to find it. So really good content and good people out on Facebook. You can find some really good technicians that are definitely willing to help you. And if you're willing to do the reading, to do the research, there's so much out there for free. You don't have to pay for it anything else except for your own time. So check that out. There are also some paid forums as well. Diag.net. You can actually see a lot without being a paid member. I don't think you can access the pictures or post, but Diag.net, super high level guys on there. I feel intimidated being on there most of the time because very, very smart people, but tons of awesome content with waveform libraries and all kinds of resources. ITN.net as well. That was kind of the precursor to Diag.net, and maybe not as good as they once were, but still has a massive archive of information going back quite a few years. They also have a waveform library as well and some other resources in there. So again, and you can access part of IATN without being a paid member, but I think to access their archive you do have to be a paid member as well. And AutoNerds.com, they have a forum, again, a free and a members one. I think you have to make a purchase through them to be in their member side of the forum, if I remember correctly. So with that, that's pretty much going to cover the main topics of what I wanted to talk about today, the different areas that you could find some training. Check out the show notes. I'm going to have all the links in there. If you have any questions, let me know. I can answer anything about any of the topics that I talked about. Other than that, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you for listening, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.